Think we're wasting our time?"
Frank turned his head slightly and looked at me out of the corner of his right eye. I shrugged. Was beginning to wonder that myself. Frank took a deep breath and exhaled loudly and said nothing. A flash caught my attention. I looked from the house to my side mirror. A van approached from behind. I nodded and said, "Look." Frank reached for the steering wheel. The muscles in his forearms flexed as his hands gripped the leather cover that wrapped around the wheel like a boa constrictor. "Relax," I said. "Even if it's them, we aren't doing anything yet." Frank's behavior, while understandable, was not typical. I referred to the guy as Iceman at times because there was no one cooler under pressure. Stress rolled off him like water off a wax statue. He never made a mistake. Not while in the military and not since I'd worked with him in the SIS. I believed he was incapable of screwing up. But his behavior started to worry me, and worry wasn't a feeling that men in our position could afford. The van passed us at a steady pace. Stenciled on the side was Freddy's Cleaning Service, and there was a phone number and the phrase, "We've got a lust for dust," written across the rear doors. It didn't slow down as it neared the house, passed right by, and then continued to the end of the street where it pulled into a driveway. "Watch the van," Frank said. "I'll keep an eye on the house." "Got it." A heavy-set man got out of the van and walked toward the front door of the house. His shoulders were hunched over, like a man who'd busted his ass all day long to afford the 4-bedroom house that kept his family sheltered. I kept my eyes trained on the front door and the windows of the place after he went inside. A minute passed, then 2. No action. I glanced to the side and checked the mirror. Another car had turned onto the street and was approaching at a speed slower than the van had traveled. "Frank?" "Yeah." "Look behind us." The car slowed as it passed. It was red, with 4 doors and had tinted windows. Our car had the same. We couldn't see him any better than he could see us if he had attempted to look. The driver slowed to a crawl as he passed the house. Frank tapped on the dashboard with his right hand and pointed. "I see him, Frank. Give it a minute." Despite the calming tone of my voice, I felt as anxious as he acted. The vehicle continued past the house, but not for long. It came to a stop half a block away and parked next to the curb. The driver's door swung open, but no one got out. "Think they're watching to see what we do?" Frank said. "I think you're paranoid," I said. He waved me off. "I want to get one good look at the guy. If he fits the bill, I'm taking him down." "We don't know what the bill is. You bring this guy in and one of 2 things happens. A, someone tries to sue the government because they think they were illegally detained, or B, you blow the operation." "Operation? We don't have an operation, Jack." "Not yet." I felt like yelling at him, asking, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Instead, I bit my tongue and kept calm, at least on the outside. I needed to find my inner calm as well, because both of us acting like jackasses wasn't going to do anyone any good, least of all kids who might need to be rescued. We watched the car for 10 minutes. There was no movement. The door remained open. The brake lights lit up. A slight halo circled the red dots, due to a film of condensation on our windshield. Maybe whoever was in the car watched us. Maybe they had called another group of guys and were waiting for them to arrive. Or maybe it was some guy on the phone with his mistress, wanting to finish their illicit conversation before heading inside to kiss his unaware wife. "Look," Frank said. "He's getting out." I leaned forward and watched as the man stepped out of the vehicle. There was nothing special about his clothing, which consisted of jeans and a sweatshirt. It looked like he wore hiking boots. He wore a red cap on his head. He looked South American. He fully emerged from the vehicle and turned his head to the left, then the right. His eyes moved constantly, scanning every house, every car. He stopped on ours, watched for a few seconds, and then moved on. Were we not a threat? Or was he good enough that he identified us and knew not to give it away? I looked over and saw that Frank had his left hand on the door handle and his right hand wrapped around his pistol. "Easy, Frank," I said. "Making sure I'm prepared," Frank said. He had a point, but the fact was that we were closer to the house than the man who stood next to the car.